Well, I was supposed to have spent my fall sabbatical working on a play I did at Colorado, rewriting it and finishing it so it could be published this fall, called Shakespeare in Briefs. And then there was Katrina. And Mike Tick got the idea that perhaps we should do something to celebrate New Orleans and Tennessee Williams and the people of New Orleans, instead of doing the play Tobacco Road, which we had sketched. So we thought about doing a Tennessee Williams play. And trouble was, with the reduction of income because of Katrina for everything, we thought we had to cut back our budget somehow and find something else to do. And so I was charged to put together, and it seemed so simple at the time, put together several scenes from Tennessee Williams that would sort of give an overview, which sounded like a good idea. And then getting the rights to do this was something that had never, was something else, because it never been, his estate had never allowed him to do it. And so we had to negotiate with London a lot to do it, and they said no first, and then Mike wrote a very persuasive letter giving the conditions of what was going on campus with helicopters and hospitals and what was going on down there. And they finally said, yeah, you can do pretty much what you want to do once. So I started to put together, started to read Tennessee. I've directed about 3 or 4, I think 4 or 5 of his plays. So I thought I sort of knew the canon, but boy, was I wrong. I mean, the man wrote hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of words of something every day. And so I fought my way through at least over 2,000 letters and all of the plays and all the other interviews this fall, and had to make the hard decision of what would be in this. And I wanted to do things that had to do with his compassion for people, which I thought paralleled what he would do for his compassion for the Katrina victims. And so I put together these plays, and in this series of plays. And what I found was that he had an enormous, I'd always sort of known it, but hadn't known it, a really wonderful respect and compassion for everybody. There were no real good guys. It was sort of like Chekhov. There was no real good guys or bad guys in this play. Everybody was out there trying to survive, being bruised or pushed or nudged or punched by society or the establishment in some way, as certainly these Katrina victims were. So I started to put together these plays with a new respect for his compassion for the world, and also found out more about his love for the quarter. In fact, 2 or 3 weeks before he died in New York, he desperately wanted to get back to the quarter, but he was too ill to make the flight. But he passed a note to his companion at that time saying, "Get me back to the quarter," capital Q-U-A-R-T-E-R. That's where the title came from, why ours is capitalized. And and he said that his whole life, no matter where I go, no matter what I write, everything I see will be colored through the lenses of what happened to me in the quarter, the artist's life in the quarter. And it was a remarkable connection for him in his life. He came here from St. Louis to Memphis to down to New Orleans, and everything changed. Suddenly, the artist in him was allowed freedom, and he found that freedom in the study of character and the freedom to look at himself and the lives around him in his life in the quarter, as many artists have. And so I began to edit plays out of the whole, and so I think we have 12 in this version. So I think we do 10 or 12 plays, or 12 or 14. I can't remember. I don't even know I don't even know the order. I don't. But we're doing all, and it's amazing the range. There's about 6 or 7 different styles in the evening, because he moved. Everybody says he's realism, but it was always poetic realism, to expressionism, to impressionism, to his look at fascism. And so there's very different styles and mix. And I think people will find a remarkable range that maybe they didn't know was there, because mostly here he's known for Streetcar and Glass Menagerie, but you're going to see plays like Mr. Paradise, and you're going to think of Camino Real, which has been around a long time but almost nobody does, and Outcry, which I don't think anyone has seen around here, which is based on his two-character play, and Period of Adjustment, which was sort of his out-and-out comedy, which sort of could be a sitcom today in some ways. And so you see this whole breadth of vision and imagination in him that I think most people don't know was there. Pretty much it's Stanley and Stella and Amanda and Tom, but my heaven, there's, you know, I think Chekhov created 3,000 characters in his life. Well, Williams created a lot. I don't know, I didn't count them, but a lot. And Chekhov, of course, was his model. He felt he was an American Chekhov. Chekhov was his favorite writer. And you know, Chekhov never made judgments about things. He just created these people and let you see them. And I think that's what's so wonderful. I think Williams was that way. He doesn't make a lot of judgments about anything. You know, he thinks Blanche is funny and over the top, and he also has a great love for Stanley. You know, Stanley's protecting his family and doing it while he's bowling and the other stuff. He's a bit of a bore and a B-O-O-R, but you know, he has compassion for everybody. I mean, that's what's so amazing about him. There's such love and embracing for all of us that get, you know, pushed or bruised or shoved or kicked out of the loop somehow or other, and that's what he wrote about his whole life. And it's been a great journey for me and the cast, I think, to see all this stuff sort of come together. And it's been a big editing job, believe me. Cut, because you know, we've done this without a reading, or you know, we put it together and got the cast. We knew if we were going to do this, we could not do it with just the people that were around us. We wanted to do the MFA2s and some undergrads because I wanted the whole department to be involved. But we knew for some of the casting for Tennessee that you need some very special people that can do very special characters. And so the word got out to some of our alumni from the MFA acting program, and fortunately they responded. Andrea Frankel and Libby King and Joe Crest Andrea came over from Alabama Shakes, and she was a New Orleans resident who lost her apartment home in Katrina. And Libby left New York, and Joe Crest came from LA, and Sean Halliday's here and has just got another job, but he agreed to do it and worked double time to do it. And Christine McMurdo Wallace came from New York to do it. And all these people, I must say, are working at with putting a lot of their, sorry, put it this way, a lot of their own money into this project because they believe in Williams and the cause. I mean, what we're trying to say is that New Orleans is going to rise again, and I hope become the incubator for artists that it used to be and once was, and I think will be again. I mean, that city, the best thing it seems to me that it's done is encourage artists and people of all kinds. And it was there at one time, then it sort of faded. Now I think it'll come back with this. I think that's the main thing that can be there. It opens officially on the 3rd, which is Friday, and I think it runs through the 19th.